Good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order. Will you please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance? Dear Lord, look lovingly on this group gathered here. During this meeting, as we discuss and deliberate issues of importance to this council, help us to be guided by your Spirit. May we be wise in your discernment, balanced in our judgment, fair in our decision, and visionary in our planning. Though we may at times have differing views, may we listen to one another and be guided by our common goals. May we always be mindful in our words and actions and of what is best for our citizens in our community. We ask this through your name, Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, good evening, everyone. Glad to see everybody here. We're going to move right on to the special announcements from the fire department. Chief?
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Michael Horton, have him sworn in. So Michael, if you want to stand right here, face the audience. Michael grew up in the Mount Healthy area, attending St. Bart's Elementary School. He moved to Westchester in 2005 and attended Lakota West High School, where he graduated in 2008. Michael started his EMS career with Corrigan Township Fire and EMS, going through their recruit class, and he achieved his Firefighter 2 and EMT certification. Michael began his career here in Mount Healthy in 2022 and was hired as a career firefighter EMT last month. He will be attending Cincinnati State for his paramedic, and he will finish his schooling August of 2024. Michael is a father of 3 kids, Chloe, Michaela, and Vincent. Michael looks forward to a long career with Mount Healthy Fire Department and serving the community. So, Mayor.
Raise your right hand. You can face the audience. Just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Horton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as firefighter
as firefighter
of the city of Mount Healthy
of the city of Mount Healthy,
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
will discharge the duties
will discharge the duties
of this office.
of this office.
Congratulations. Thank you.
I also like to introduce our 3 new captains. So, Keith, if you want to stand up. And
Aw, it's like a Hallmark movie.
next, I'd like to introduce Mitch Weethorn. Just go over there.
he's like, just
And finally, Eric Mormon. Want to stand up? Thank you.
That's it?
Thank you very much.
That's it. Quick and easy.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief,
Thank you, all the families and firefighters.
I
there.
also want to thank, I know a few of them are here tonight, the department helped set up for the Historical Society and helped tear down for their yard sale. So I know that was a big help. I know a few of you guys were there that are here tonight, so thank you so much. Have a great night.
Well, once again, welcome to you hardy souls who are staying. Let's start with our roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo. Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Mr. Redding. Mrs. Dosa.
Here.
Mr. George. Mr. Young.
Here.
Mrs. Rissel.
Okay, we're missing 3 people tonight, huh? We're not gonna get much done, are we? Okay,
Joe, I think he's out of town.
you have the minutes before you from the July 18th, 2023 meeting. Oh, okay. I gotta back up. Is there anybody here who'd like to make a motion to excuse the absent members?
I would like to make a motion to excuse the absent members, Denise Lingo and Joe Redding and Cordell George.
I'm rubbing off on you a little bit, Amy.
I know, too close.
Okay, Ms. Dosa has made a motion to excuse our absent members. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Rissel? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, back to the minutes, July 18th, 2023. Does anybody have any corrections that they need to make on those minutes? If there are no corrections to be made, I'd like somebody to make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Mr. Parsons has made a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Mr. Young has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence. We have the police report, which I think Chief will go over later. And then moving on, does anybody else have any correspondence that they want to bring up? Okay, then we'll move on to public input. I'll start here with these 3 names. Aaron Horsley, you be first.
Aaron Horsley, 7328 Maple Avenue. So I just wanted to take a couple brief minutes to give everyone a quick update on the wetlands and the work that we're planning on doing there. First off, we're working on nailing down our plans for the volunteer picnic on September 30th. Scott, I was wondering if there was any way that I could email over a flyer and have it put out through the city's Facebook page as a way to spread it.
Send it over, copy Kathy, or just I'll send it to her, we'll get it up there.
Awesome, okay. And then I also passed out a proposal, should be in front of everybody's desk here. It's pretty simple. It just basically outlines some tree removal and debris hauling that we're wanting to do at the wetlands. I went there with my boss today and kind of showed him around the park and what we're needing done. And he's agreed to do a flat rate of $2,000 for an entire day's worth of work. So what that means is we'll need to shut down the park for an entire day, and our crews will come in, chip all of the honeysuckle that's sitting in about 2 or 3 piles at the park right now, kind of clear those areas out, make them usable again. And then we're also going to be taking out calorie pairs. I believe I've spoken with everybody briefly about what those are and why they're a problem in the park. But we're just going to do a simple cut and sweep method, which just means that we're going to be falling the trees and then clearing them from the trail. So there's not a lot of work that's entailed with that, so we should be able to move pretty quickly. We're hoping to get at least 60 to 70% of those invasive trees removed. That'll open up for native species to be able to come in and start to fill in the gaps. I've spoken with Scott briefly about having the park shut down and working to get that ball rolling on the process, but I just wanted to make everybody aware of it. Right now we have a tentative date of October 13th for that. It may change. Our parks group also has a meeting this Thursday that we're going to go over all of our different options. Since we have the $2,000 flat rate for the entire day, we can basically mix and change this up however we want it. So we're going to try to focus on the areas that need the attention the most. So this may change a little bit, but I just wanted to give everybody kind of an idea, since this is $2,000. It's a sizable chunk of our grant, but this is going to enable us to get a lot of the more dangerous work done safely and quickly. Does anybody have any questions?
I guess I just have one, Aaron. How many people is that you would have come in?
Our crews,
5 people, or is it 10 people,
yeah, so our crews range in size to about 5 to 8 people. For this job, we'll probably have 8. The majority of those crew members are going to be groundmen, so they're going to be people down on the ground doing the cutting and doing the clearing. We'll also have 1 or 2 climbers on site as well. Those guys will go up in the trees physically using rappelling gear, and will cut larger limbs from the tree, drop them to the ground. They'll be cleared away, and it just rinse, wash, and repeat until it's all down.
Okay. You're grinding a lot of this up. You're just going to leave it there and use it for mulch?
Yes, sir. So the only thing that we're going to be grinding is the honeysuckle piles. The rest of the calorie pairs we're just going to allow to naturally decay. The honeysuckle is going to be shot back into the woods in the open clearing that we cleared last winter.
Okay.
Thank you very
For
much.
me, anybody else have any questions for Aaron?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Mara Harperink.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mara Harperink. I live at 1977 Adams Road. I also own 7816 Hamilton. Today, I want to hear what's going on with the Adams Road speeding results, but I am here for the Mount Healthy Historical Society. We are on the final days of our fundraiser for Mount Healthopoly. These sponsorships are open to anybody. It can be past business, closed business, family, your house, doesn't matter. But we need to get all this information in probably the next 7 days to be able to get proofs out and have the games produced in time to deliver at the beginning of November in time for Christmas. So I will be here if anybody has questions, but this should raise about $15,000 for the Historical Society, which is huge. We normally only raise about $2,500 a year. Thank you.
That's it?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dwight Weesey.
Next one up, Dwight Weesey, 1421 St. Clair Avenue, here for the Urban Tree Commission. Several things to give you updates on. First, the grant from the state. We've learned that there are several clarification items that the federal government owes the state, and actually, I think more than just the state, but other states as well, on that they're not going to release those clarifications now until October 1st. And then they're giving the states 6 months after that point to get their grant applications completed. So that means that the earliest we're going to be able to see the grant window open will be probably October 1st. Probably not quite right on the 1st, but sometime after that. And it'll be 60 days that we'll have to actually apply after that actually opens. So we've got more time than we thought we had when we first started down this road here just a couple months ago. which will give us time then to make sure that we can do everything as you would like it, if you have any questions. Second thing, we had 3 last month that we said about areas that we wanted to focus in on for work. We're narrowing that down now to 2, being hazard reduction. This is where you really are sending the people up into the trees like Aaron was talking about, and those rates are, I mean, that's what we're using for some of our rates also for doing some of that effort, where you might have to do reduction of limbs that could be a hazard then to the community. The second part is actually still trying to do some site remediation, like we've talked about along the berms out here where road work was done and they just put the concrete and other stuff back into the ground underneath. We do want to get that out, and we would be planting trees then in that those locations. That's also part of the efforts that we're looking at for next year, is to get those trees then planted in those areas. So it's not just a bare spot in the ground, but we actually get the trees into it. Those 2 projects together, we are coming in around $30K. That's the combined effort of what we would be asking for from the state, as well as what we're asking for from the city here. But that does include labor on our parts, including the work that would need to be done from administrative for making contracts for this effort, for tracking the effort that would have to be done by those contractors, as well as also then our own public works department on some of the work that would be done. One of the things we have learned just today is that while we were combining both of those projects into one for our grant application, the state won't allow that. We're going to have to do 2 separate grant applications. We're going to have to do a little bit of mixing of how we change out the work, but it's something that still is coming in probably about a $5K for hazard reduction and about $10K, most of that being labor effort on the city's part for doing the site remediation and planting. All right, that's the first part of the money aspects of it. I know that this is being brought before you here tonight as one of the ordinances to the first readings on that. So that gives you a little bit of background to where we're sitting. Second part, for the ordinance itself. I wanted to bring a few points on here. I know that Joe is not here tonight. I did not get the chance to talk with him, but we've had a lot of success where his big concern was getting, he wanted positive permission to plant in the city's right-of-way in front of a person's house. We don't see that that really is feasible. When you go to, you're going to get probably about 15% folks that feel strongly one direction, probably about that same 10-15% that will feel strongly the other direction, and everybody in between really doesn't care, and they won't respond to any flyers that go out or mailings or anything like that. We really would like to keep with our whole approach of having if you don't want it, tell us, and we will give you that information there. Not to mention that we will run into a lot of difficulties if you start coming into with our city having a number of rentals. Who exactly gets to have that say? Who gets to have the, if somebody moves just after all that, how does that all work? The whole purpose of these ordinances is to really establish that the tree lawn, that area between the sidewalk and the street, belongs to the city. It is the area that is maintained by the city as far as trees come situation. The planting of that is we're planting an asset to the city. Trees make a big difference in how they're received in the community. We have done we've done some informal, I should say, Karen has done some informal surveys, just talking to people, walking up to folks on the street as well as knocking on doors. She's gotten, I'll give the I don't have the numbers right here in front of me. She has gotten the results that have shown clearly people are in favor. She had one, well, I don't care. Everybody else was extremely positive to having those trees in front of their place. It makes a difference. The city of Cincinnati had a survey done by the University of Cincinnati. The results of that were that 80% of people that were surveyed said trees, planting those trees, maintaining them in the urban setting was seen as a very important criteria for the city to do. We see the same thing as we want to uphold here. These ordinances that we're bringing to you establish the city's ability to protect what is a city asset. It provides those assets that will grow. Everything else depreciates in value as far as assets. This is the only thing that truly appreciates as those trees grow and they bring better benefits further and further to the community throughout their life. It provides ordinances and the instructions, or that keeps the ability there for standards for construction and working around the trees, so that those companies that are coming in, they have a responsibility now to protect the trees that are the city's right-of-way and make sure they're taking care of them. It provides it for the overhead lines and not just allowing companies to just go do a whack that ends up killing the trees. It provides the authority to enforce those rules. These are all things that we have put into the ordinance. We have tried to keep it as simple as possible. We don't want to make it overburdensome, but yet we need to also meet requirements, because these same ordinances are what's being looked for specifically for the grant applications we're having come forward here. Do you have any questions to me?
You talk about the 30,000, is that for 30,000 from here and 30,000 grants, so it'd be total 60?
Nope, 15, 15.
15.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm looking at it as 15, 15.
And then what is your project? Well, you talked about the, your list of hazard reduction or the sites. Where do you have a list of where you're doing that at, or where you're thinking?
We have a preliminary list. Tom Davis, who is on our board as an arborist, but he's not track certified, which is what's the requirement for the grant, has already done a preliminary look. We've got about a target of 11 trees that we specifically are looking for assistance in identifying what efforts are going to be needed with those trees down the road here. That helps us to specifically direct the work of what we need that track arborist to come in, instead of saying, oh, here's a whole city, and then we started getting a really huge bill on. We're targeting where it needs to be. It also gives us an idea then of what kind of effort we're going to need to do for the pruning, but some of that still, what's going to happen between now and when we have this done next spring, or when we've received the resources for this to be able, and the approval to go forward on it, we don't know.
And then last, what kind of time commitment are you looking from the street department, from the city?
You're asking me to put some calculations that I did do in the spreadsheet. I just don't have them right up here. Can I get back to you on that
Yeah,
one?
that's fine.
Yeah.
My concern is where, they're a person down, and, when time of year.
Time of year, I haven't talked a little bit with Justin on that one already. We'd be looking at probably in the summertime, probably after 4th of July. We would like it sooner, but that's when he saw he had time.
So after you plant them, you don't do anything else with them? You are asking the city, are you still taking care of them?
The tree commission, we recognize ourselves as volunteers. In fact, the effort to still actually do the tree planting is going to be done by volunteer labor. We plan to do it the same way we've been doing it year in and year out. It's the soil remediation we're really looking at for city support to do. You're bringing in backhoes now to dig out 2 yards of dirt, replace it with good ground soil, good mixture of soil that's used, the recipe as it's put into our tree commission academy for planting of trees. That's big equipment labor. that's gonna be fitting into more what Justin and his crew has available. But yes, we are gonna take care of those trees afterwards, as we do with the ones right now.
Did you mention, at an earlier meeting that you're working on a budget for the tree commission?
Yes, yes, that's where, and I do actually, we had something, I was looking to start bringing it, but the whole aspect of now having to split those into two separate grants will change how that mix goes. I didn't want to put it in front of you with all those details, when they're all gonna change real quick here, probably in the next week.
Will that be available at our next meeting?
Absolutely,
About 3 weeks from now, I think.
yes.
Thank you.
The soil remediation that you're doing between the curb and the sidewalk, how deep are you gonna take that?
We're taking it down 18 inches.
18 inches?
18 inches, and we're looking at where the sidewalk and street permit, it would be 6 feet to 6 feet, but we were thinking of 6 by 6, realizing that will probably be a more spread out region, but we would need to do that more spread out so you get greater root distribution than in those areas that are a little bit limited underneath the street and by the sidewalk.
18 inches might get you into a lot of gas lines.
We will definitely use the 211?
Call before you dig.
Yeah, call before you dig. But good point.
Any other questions? Have anything else, Mr. Weezy?
When do you all meet? How often do you meet?
We meet once a month officially.
Okay.
We have a lot of correspondences that go on back and forth in between times.
Would it be helpful to meet, that might not be a full group, but a group like before, like an hour before council?
We would be happy to do that.
Kind of talk and we could kind of go through
Right.
detail.
Yep. If we want to set that up for, was it the 5th, that's the next meeting?
We could do that, if that's okay.
I would be happy to sit down.
5th?
Day after Labor Day.
Yeah,
Day after Labor Day.
is that dope? Anybody else have?
Do it like a work session?
So like, I don't even know if that'd be a work session or it can just be I guess, work session?
What is, I think it would be a work session.
Yeah.
You were considering a work session for this anyway, weren't you?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that'd be after the
Before,
meeting?
After the meeting?
Yeah, before, yeah, whatever preference.
It don't matter, whatever.
We can make ourselves available as need to on that one. I assume you all both can.
Before or after, which one?
Yeah, I mean, my hope was to go over the ordinance as well in this meeting too. So, I mean, they can all be specifics of the project and the ordinance can be talked about, so.
I expected we were going to go that direction, but I wasn't going to just volunteer to table at this moment.
That's just council's preference if you want before or after.
I don't.
Or
Makes
both.
no difference to me.
I'm available.
Doesn't matter to me.
Any of either one.
I personally like the idea of before, because we know we have an hour to get it done. Sometimes when they're after council, tend to go in circles
And they have to wait maybe 2 hours to even get to the meeting.
Right.
So,
if people are available at 6.
All right, 6 o'clock.
okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else who'd like to address city council? How about the scouts?
We're just taking notes, leave them alone, Ross.
I can
Okay.
introduce them. I'll embarrass them.
Okay.
Or you want me, I'll wait till my report, then
All
I'll
right.
embarrass them.
Committee and commission reports. Beautification. Ms. Lingo's not here. Business Partnership and Alliance, Mr. Young.
The Business Association meeting was canceled, on Monday, so I don't have any report on that. And the economic development, I'll just jump into that too, since I'm there. There's a lot of movement on there, but I don't really want to say much right now until we have a little more answers. So hopefully next meeting, next month, I'll have a little more to report on that.
Okay. Finance, Mr. Parsons.
I don't have a report, but I want to remind that we're having a committee meeting on the 19th of September at 6 o'clock before the council meeting to go over the results through August and see if we need to make any changes, adjustments for the rest of the year. Finance Director, if we could get those reports out as early as possible. And I ask for comments back and questions in the email form to the committee and to Mr. Bauer by Friday before that, the 15th of September.
Okay. Questions? Library, Ms. Dosa.
Thank you. The library is currently wrapping up their summer programs and getting ready for the new school year. The youth and teen librarians that were at the branch are reaching out to the schools and informing teachers about registering for education cards, which I think is interesting. The teacher collection delivery services and setting up class visits. So if any teachers that are listening have any questions or are interested in above, please reach out to the Mount Healthy Branch librarian. The after-school meal service is going to start on the 16th, and they'll still serve stable meal bags Monday through Friday between 3:30 and 4. Anyone 18 years old and younger can stop in during those times and receive a meal. They're also planning for October to have a Customers Appreciation Day. Once I get more details about that, I can let you know, and give people the opportunity to come in and get to know the librarians and the branch better and get more information out to the public about things that are going to be happening soon. That's all I have for the library. For parks and commissions, couple things. One, I wanted to say thank you to every council member and volunteer that's helped thus far with the summer concert series. I really appreciate everyone is helping and stepping up and doing that. Thank you so much, because I know that you have lives outside of the concert series, and some of you enjoy doing it anyway, but thank you for helping out with that. We still have some upcoming concerts, so please do take the opportunity to come and see them. We are still trying to do a movie in the park, but we're going to move that to September, and I'll have more details later after, closer to that time, to give out to council and to the public about that. We just need to get some things squared away. Also, for parks and commissions, I was presented an opportunity today, actually, on top of some other grants that we were looking at through Love and Action and Emmanuel Temple, that are trying to do through crowdfunding, building a new playground in our park. So I'm going to be talking with her, Morgan Moore, this week and looking at this grant and seeing what all it entails and seeing how we can get those funds for Mount Healthy Park to get us a play structure. So that is still in the works, and as I get more details and more information about that grant, I will, of course, give that to council. Also, I would like to have a meeting next Thursday for Parks Commission, next Thursday, the 24th, in Chambers at 6:30. And I will send out an email to everyone again in regards to that. Hopefully the people can come and we can talk about all the things that we're trying to do with the parks and moving forward and upcoming events. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
One is probably more for the clerk. The concert that was canceled a few weeks ago, has that been rescheduled, or is it
No.
eliminated?
Correct.
All right, so we're going up to Labor Day weekend, and that's the end of it.
September 1st is the final concert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Redding's not here for safety. Mr. George is not here. Streets, Ms. Rissel.
Really don't have anything, except it was brought to my attention that there was a lot of broken glass across from the Eagles, but by the time I went and looked, we had already cleaned it up, so it's all good.
Okay. Moving on then to the mayor's report, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, not much. Just following up, there's 2 more farmers markets, September 3rd and October 1st. And then I mentioned the yard sale was pretty successful at a few different spots. In the Historical Society, the fire department helped set up and tear down, which was great, and so did some of the scouts. A lot of people pitched in to help them out with one of their fundraisers for the year. And the last thing is Morgan Whaley and Love and Action from Emmanuel Temple had their, or they helped run the We Thrive backpack giveaway back to school in the park. They had bounce houses and free food, and were able to give away a lot of school supplies. It was great. So I know my own student went up, didn't get any school supplies, but enjoyed the festival atmosphere. So they are really excited about getting more engaged with the park. So I think that's a great connection. Otherwise, I'll have a lot more next month. That's all. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So the two scouts that are here tonight are both with Troop 27 out of Assumption. Cameron, stand up. This is my son, Cameron. He is a Star Scout, which is 2 away from Eagle, and he and Chris are both working on their communication merit badge. Chris, go ahead and stand up as well. This is Chris King. The 2 of them have been together for a while, so they're both very close, not far from getting what they need for Eagle for the communication merit badge. They've done everything but one requirement. They have to come to a public meeting where there are different opinions given on a public issue, and they have to record the different opinions and discuss them and any resolution and next steps that'll move forward, and then kind of say what they believe. So I told them tonight with this tree ordinance, they'd be able to hear a lot, which they already have. So Chris, I'll call him out as well, is also a public employee of the city. He works at the pool for us. So he's one of ours. Cameron does not, but he's mine, so it's no excuse. All right, well, welcome, guys.
Good luck.
I hope you weren't doing,
Thanks for reminding me, Mara.
Any questions for the mayor? Okay, city manager, Mr. Scott Bauer.
Yeah, I'll give another shout out to the Whaleys. I got the email about the playground equipment, and I didn't realize who Morgan was. I should have seen the Whaley and known it, because I happened to meet with them, with Justin today, to talk to them about their Friday pantry and giveaway, if that's the right word. So yeah, I'm looking forward to work with them on the playground equipment. And yeah, I'll second the book bag giveaway. Was a great event, and police kind of had a presence there just to make sure everything was fine, but wasn't even needed, and just great all-around event. Let's see, I met with Keith Peace. He was the newly installed captain who was closest to me. Met him today. That was sort of our first kickoff of union negotiations. We'll have a formal meeting on Thursday with Chief, Assistant Chief, Keith, and their union rep to start formally making a list and going through the contract. So hopefully within a couple months, we'll have something to put forward to you. Police, I sent an email to kick off negotiations with them as well. So it's usually a 60-day process. So we've already done a bunch of MOUs for them. So hopefully that means we've taken care of a lot of the big things. But again, we'll have both contracts coming up before the end of the year. I'll have those to you guys. Let's see, Compton and Hamilton. Sounds like Compton is completely done. I think I said that last time, but wanted to confirm it with Justin. Doesn't look like there's anything left with it. Hamilton, they're going to come back within the next couple weeks and then into September to fix things on Hamilton Avenue. I happen to be at Just One More at the sidewalk. Just some of the things that they had done, they covered over the sump pump outlets, right? The pipes that just go into the street, and hopefully getting a lot of those little things fixed, the seams in the road. So within the next month, hopefully those will get corrected. Clover Nook, quick update on that. Met with the president, CEO, and a couple other from the executive team. Really good event. I feel like they've got a pretty wide portfolio. Half their properties are in Ohio, but they span the eastern half of the country. So it kind of feels like we've put a spotlight on this property, hoping to get the cameras upgraded, better lighting, stuff like that. So it's nice to kind of get their ear and see what happens. Hopefully, good things. All right, so Adams. I know I'm guilty of overwhelming people with numbers. So just pay attention to the top part. That's the summary. The bottom is the same thing. It's just in much more detail. Just thought you guys would find this curious at the least. So we've got eastbound and westbound traffic. So what it means is that first number, there was a count of 4 that were between the 5 and 14 miles per hour going eastbound. westbound, 22 cars that were going between 5 and 14. You can kind of follow that out. The ones to be concerned about, it's really only about 1 to 2% of the cars, but there's a substantial amount that are over 50. And between 80 and 99, we had 18 cars in a 6 or 7 day time period flying through Adams in front of Mara's house, unfortunately.
This was 1 week.
1 week.
Oh, my gosh.
50,000 cars.
Yep. That's counting both directions.
And that's only between Hamilton and.
Yeah, he usually anchors it to some kind of a pole. I don't know exactly where it was, but in general, it was 14.
But it's between Hamilton and the west
Correct,
property,
correct.
city
Right
line.
Right by Duval, right at Adams and Duval, right?
Adams and Duval.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So they are obviously, well, and, yeah, going eastbound, I mean, that's a short distance to get up to, that's less than 100 yards, I think, to get up to 80 miles an hour. So I mean, I was going to suggest, I know we've been talking about speed humps. I mean, it's something we can talk about during budget season, but, and I think ones you can get, you can actually move them around town. You don't have to have them stay in one place permanently. We'd obviously want to take them up during snow season so we can plow. They would rip those things right off the road, but that's obviously a prime place to put it. Compton and Perry is a place too, so maybe we buy one of these speed humps and, you know, for a month at a time, we kind of put it at hot spots that we find like this, so something that we can kind of work into the budget for next year. It seemed like there were maybe 10 to 20 grand. I'd have to double check with Justin. I mean, they're not cheap, but when you see how many people are driving over 80 miles an hour, it's a little scary, so.
Well, I would think anything over 35 would be.
Right.
Well above where they should be. I mean, 25 is the speed limit.
Right.
And then there's a school zone, but that
Yeah.
hasn't been in effect lately.
Yeah, I think the average was 36. It was about 10 miles over. So, I mean, even just the average was still well over. I mean, a lot of times you'll still have the average around 25 or 26, which is nice, but you'll have these outliers. Well, it's clear people are speeding on this road, so.
Yeah, totally out of bounds.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys ever want to use my
Yeah.
driveway? There's a drive right there, it's just Napa, you are more than welcome.
The numbers don't lie, and obviously the directed patrol's been sent out to the officers. Please pay attention to this, like, you know, the numbers are, close to 90% are speeding on that road.
There's just nowhere for you to hide to actually catch people, so feel free to use my driveway.
You've got a downward slope, so the cops can just take off.
Our guys
from
are
that downward
sneaky enough
slope.
to figure out a place where they can catch some of these guys, but then again, being out there and making some high visibility traffic stops. My always thought on a traffic stop, not only do you affect the person that is speeding, but everybody that drives by as well. So some high visibility traffic stops, especially during the school, when the school, that will be directed and that will be done.
Yeah, and I mean, and just if anyone's curious, just to be able to read the detail, I mean, that's the,
The signs that show your speed, does that help much?
They do, yeah, they do.
That might be a good
I mean,
place to put one for a while or two if we.
I remember a couple times you pulled somebody over and they're like, well, you should have more of those signs that show the speed limit. I'm like, or show your speed. I'm like, well, you got a speedometer right in front of you. Right? But it's still, it does create that warning. It does the flashing. Those are extremely effective.
A lot of people think they're cameras anyway.
They do.
They're taking their picture.
Streets are, yeah, yeah.
that's actually all that I had.
Okay, questions for Mr. Bauer?
Or if you happen to want this, I mean, okay. You can have my copy, so, yeah.
Take Cordell.
Okay, yeah.
Good, them don't get one.
No, you can have mine. Look.
Finance Director Melanie Brandis.
Just had your July reports on your desk. If you have any questions, just give me a holler. That's all I have. Thanks, Ross.
Thank you. Departmental report. Jerry Deichenheimer. Did I say that right?
No, you didn't, but that's okay.
How do you say your name?
Deidesheimer?
What did I?
Deidesheimer.
Deidesheimer.
Oh, Deidesheimer. Okay.
Just like it's spelled.
Yeah. Well, probably the biggest thing that happened last month was the Mount Healthy Police Department received accreditation from CALEA. And I wish I could take a lot of credit for this. I can't. I give a lot of the credit to Chief Demasi, who put these wheels in motion about 3 years ago, as well as Nick Michael. And if anybody knows anything about CLIA, it's kind of the gold standard as far as policies and procedures, and basically the gold stamp saying that Mount Healthy Police Department does things the right way, from use of force procedures to unbiased policing to community involvement to officer wellness. So basically we're audited on 150, close to 150 points and policies, and making sure that we're doing everything correctly. It's not everybody gets it, and it's a lot of work, and I know Chief Demasi did a lot of work on this, and Nick Michael continues to do a lot of work. It's not one of those things where you just do it and you get the stamp. You got to continually keep doing this. So this was a big deal for us. And that being said, part of the things that we do is from our use of force standpoint. We do a use of force review committee from citizens, and that's done probably 2 to 3 times a year. We're actually doing one on the 28th, and this is where members of the community come in and look at our use of forces and get an objective opinion as far as, was this justified? Did we do things the right way? They can ask questions. This is the coolest thing ever. From where I came from, we didn't even think about doing this. So this is what Cincinnati does, and for an agency our size to have this involvement from the community and looking how we police and how we go about doing uses of force, it's pretty incredible. So we're doing that on the 28th, and I sent that out to Scott. Regarding other things, there was concerns regarding have we abandoned Facebook. We have not, actually. We're up and running again, and we continue to do posts. We just did one about the CLIA, as well as we did some posts regarding the backpack giveaway on Saturday and some other information. Looks like our policies and procedures are on the website now, which is great. That was one of the things that the Urban League asked from us. So our policies and procedures are now on the city website. Let's see. Other things we did a threat assessment at Hearthstone, the retirement community. And we plan on doing a threat assessment for Pastor Whaley. He came in today, and I spoke with him, as well as kind of expanding our chaplaincy program. Right now we have Pastor Washington, and Pastor Whaley expressed interest in assisting us with our chaplaincy program for the city of Mount Healthy. A couple things, we did make an arrest on a couple of the big calls, as well as there was reported at the A&A restaurant. They reported it was a robbery. It wasn't a robbery, it was a theft, but we made the arrest on that. We are attending a first responders night over in Norwood PD. We did do our national night out here, but we are going to participate with Norwood PD as well as other Hamilton County agencies over in Norwood. And that is about it. If anybody has any questions regarding some of the report I had published, calls for service at the liquor establishments, we had none in July. In Clovernook Apartments, we still get calls there, but these are quality of life calls that we should be getting. Juveniles or unruly juveniles, noise complaints, things like that. The big calls regarding shots fired, things like that, and I don't think they're going away, but they seem to be trending in the right direction, and I think that's the cooperation that we are having, that Scott has had with the management company and some of our proactive patrols over there. So, yeah, I think hopefully that trend continues, sir.
Thank you very much, Chief. Questions? None. Thank you again, Chief. Really appreciate it. Okay, then we're going to move on to our ordinances and resolutions. We have a second reading of an ordinance. Ordinance number 23-2016, an ordinance adding Chapter 101, City of Mount Healthy Tree Ordinance to the Mount Healthy Code of Ordinances.
So my recommendation is just to table this until the meeting. That's kind of what I was going to go into anyways. We have a couple of examples, one from Troy and one from a village. And I think we could use those as examples to see if there's things we want to change about this, and just now that we know we have more time, it definitely felt rushed before, so
Okay.
I say table it until we have the meeting.
Council, you all right with that, tabling it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Second reading of a resolution. The resolution, 23-1211, A resolution authorizing the city manager of the city of Mount Healthy to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, state capital improvement, and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required. We had the first reading on the 18th of July. What does council wish to do? Discussion.
This will be for, passing this, we'll have JMA submit for Warner Madison and Joseph Street and McMacken. Those will be the two projects that we submit for with the 30%.
Warner's the number one.
Yep. Yep.
That's what we talked about, right?
No discussion, council? Comments? Do I have a motion to adopt?
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 23-1211.
Mr. Parsons has made a motion to adopt. Ms. Rissel, seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mrs. Rissel?
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, resolution number 23-1211 is adopted. Then we have first readings on ordinances and resolutions. Can't really do those, though, can we? We can't even have a first reading.
Yeah, you have first reading.
You can't waive it, right?
I think that's how, yeah. You can, yeah.
Have the first reading? Okay, ordinance number 23-2018. An ordinance assessing costs for the removal of high grass and weeds and declaring an emergency. So, first reading only, August 15th, 23. Ordinance number 23-2019. Ordinance assessing cost of the removal of litter, rubbish, and garbage and declaring an emergency. Once again, all we can do is have the first reading on that.
Are you familiar with these, where all this trash and rubbish was?
I've seen pictures for the Perry Street.
Where was
Looks
that?
like there was a broken down mower.
That was just past Hastings, or right near Hastings, down here by the dairy bar?
Yeah, let's see, 7821. Yes, yeah. I mean, it had just
Before-
trash. It looks like they had maybe cleaned out their basement or something. It was just old boards, tree limbs, just a bunch of different stuff.
Okay, the next is a resolution. Resolution number 23-1212. A resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application to receive the Urban Canopy Restoration Grant and to execute any contract or documents as required.
So when I read through the grant for the ODNR, they do want a tree ordinance, like what Dwight was talking about, but they also want a tree ordinance that's similar to what we just passed for OPWC, just proving that council has formally appropriated the money. So this could probably maybe even be tabled till the meeting as well. The only reference to how much money, I mean, that'd kind of be what we'd have to decide, is how much we actually want in the budget. The only language about funds is we have it's between 2,500 and 25,000, and that's just sort of what the grant language says that it can be. So it's not really committing us to a formal amount. And maybe that's even a question for the ODNR, is what specifically do they need to see that we've, they need to see that we've budgeted 20,000, that might be a question for them. I don't know.
I've had so many emails go back and forth with different things here, I can't remember.
Yeah.
if they forwarded that to me for feedback on it.
And I don't really recall, and again, maybe it's just best to table it. I don't really recall seeing in the example that I saw from Troy that they had set a specific amount, but that's still something council will have to decide, is how much exactly are we comfortable with putting into the budget. So it's $5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand.
Okay, that is all the ordinance and resolutions.
we could do a first reading on this tonight, and then when we do our
Sure.
workshop or work session,
Mhm.
we could take care of both this one and the other one next time.
Yeah, this first reading,
First reading, okay.
yeah. That's all we can do.
Well, we're gonna table it. He wanted to table it.
Yeah, I mean, either would be fine. I mean,
Well, we can table it later.
Let's do a first reading, yeah. And we can do a second reading next time.
Okay. Move on then to old business. Anybody have any old business?
I do. Did we get a bidder for the Forest Madison project?
I believe JMA said it's actually gonna be closer to October when it gets bid out, so.
I thought it was bid out in May and June.
Yeah, I feel like the initial timeline was early to mid-summer for bidding it out, so I do not have a reason as to why it's been pushed out, the bidding, but I will try to get an answer as to why it is.
Okay.
I mean, the expectation is still that they'll begin potentially some of the work at the end of this year, the water and curb work, but yeah, if you keep pushing it out too far.
What streets is
Well, if they
that?
don't get a bidder till October,
Yeah.
they're not gonna get
Right.
much done.
Yeah, agreed.
What about the pool? Is the pool still open or is it closed now?
So it was last Friday, or just this past Sunday. Yeah, past Sunday was the last day.
Okay. Can the restrooms be maintained through Labor Day or through the concert on the 1st of September so we can allow our patrons for the concerts to use the
The actual,
restrooms?
not the bathroom that's on the outside, the actual,
The ones in
past the
the,
roller door, the.
yeah, behind the roller door.
Yeah.
It'll just be for Friday nights.
Okay.
And it's only 3 more weeks, I guess.
Yeah, let me just put a note to mention that to Justin. They all had, all the pool staff had great things to say. Gonna have a meeting with John Peters, who was kind of in charge of the pool before we went to Cincinnati Pool Management, but then also with a couple of the pool managers, and just kind of, again, they all had positive things to say, but just see if there's anything different we should do, and try to encourage them all to come back next year, so.
Scott, have they taken into, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something? Scott, are they gonna take into consideration being open maybe later next year?
That would be nice. I think we timed, in general, we timed it with Mount Healthy School opening. The head pool manager, he's also a teacher. I mean, that's kind of part of the problem. Some of them are teachers, so you're kind of limited by the school year.
I think they all are, aren't they?
A lot of them are. Yeah.
Sierra,
Danny.
Danny.
Is there a problem with opening it on the weekends?
Yeah,
Up
I
until
was
Labor
gonna
Day?
ask, what about weekends or?
So only being
Up till-
weekends. Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday,
Sunday
up
up
till
till
Labor Day weekend, and
I mean, that's definitely something I was going to bring up. I mean, we were kind of limited this year. Whoever was going to do the certifications, Diane. I think she was traveling or something like that.
the manager.
Yeah, who was going to certify all the lifeguards.
Oh, okay.
So we were kind of limited by her schedules when we could have the season open. So
Well-
hopefully we can get ahead of that this year and.
I'm talking the closing on the back
Right.
end, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying we could even do open
Both.
earlier and stay later, both are on the table, I think. So those are the conversations I
That
want to have.
would be good. That would be good.
In general, it was a great year, definitely made more money this year, so.
Well, I know it was cold in June, they probably wouldn't have used it much, but usually the last half of August and Labor Day, it's pretty warm. Supposedly next week is gonna be
It's like on May
a
100 next
heat wave.
Yeah. Did we only have one day we were closed, I think?
I think that's all.
I think just one day due to thunderstorms that we were actually closed. Other than that, we were open the whole year, normal hours. and-
That's great, that's
Yeah.
great.
Difference.
Yeah, fully staffed.
Yeah.
so.
No green pool,
No green pool.
no ducks in it.
But it would be nice, the reason why I was asking is because I've had several people ask me why we didn't keep the pool open until Labor Day. And I said, well, we just didn't have the staff, so.
I'll tell you, we'll need to find managers that aren't teachers. As a teacher, there's no way I'd want to be working on weekend,
Yeah,
first 2 weeks of school.
yeah. The head one is a teacher. I know one of them's graduating from college, so she'll hopefully have a normal 9 to 5 job next year and won't be able to work. So we'll have to find some people and maybe we can work it out. That'd be great. And also, I mean, maybe more special events. Like I know we used to have movies in the pool, at the pool or whatever, right? Things like that. Special events, be fun.
Or to be proactive in getting lifeguards by getting them trained over the winter.
Mm.
I don't know if that's even possible, but
I think it's a 2-year certification, maybe.
is it?
Sounds right. So maybe next year will be easier. I don't know. With COVID, that kind of messed a lot of people up with their certifications. Maybe it'll be easier next year. I don't know.
I took my life saving at the Friars Club, WC, a long time ago. Okay, any other old business, council?
Sure. Have we heard anything from CVS?
Yes, that's what I wanted to know.
They never responded to me.
Okay, but did you ask them to contact the library? Or,
CVS to contact the I contacted the library and let them know.
oh, you went that way?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And we don't know if the library is communicating?
No, well, no. The information was taken back.
Okay.
But nothing has come out of that yet. She hasn't told me anything different.
Yeah. We notified the branch manager. She notified the main people.
The main
and then-
people at the, yeah.
I think Scott Solomon maybe knows one of the board members or something, so we've tried to contact them multiple ways to see what the libraries, if they had interest in it.
Okay.
So that direction, but yeah, I haven't heard anything from CVS.
I know the library's looking for a place, and
Right.
Yes.
it might not be
Seems
the right.
ideal for them, yeah.
One other topic, we've got the levy on the ballot in November. I think we need to start in September with some education for the public.
Right.
Talk about some door hangers and whatever we can do.
Gotcha.
We'll have 2 months to get the word out there. That's all I have.
We've got the door hangers already designed. I don't know that we would necessarily need to change much. I don't know, other than just saying that's for police this time. Jerry, you think your guys will want to go door to door, pleading for?
Any other old business, council? New business? Who wants to be Denise tonight? Ms. Rissel's made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Young has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.